Hi, this is Dr. Daniels, and you are listening to Healing with Dr. Daniels, and today is Sunday, January 5th. This is the first broadcast of the new year, and our topic is Dr. Daniels' 10 predictions for 2020. And before we go too far with it, I definitely want to tell you that even Fortune Magazine's 2019 predictions, 5 of them did not come to pass. But I've thought about these, and I think that this is what's going to happen. So we're going to have a lot of fun today with these 10 predictions. And first, I'd like to thank everyone who purchased during the 3 for the price of 1 sale. The bonuses will be emailed to you tomorrow, which is the 6th. And we'll be having the customer appreciation webinar on Wednesday. Okay, awesome. That gets administrative stuff out the way. And of course, we need to take our turpentine. Let me see. We have a little squeezy thing here, our pipette. And we have our white sugar. White sugar is the best. It is the best. As the Chinese would say, everything under the sun has healing properties. Yep. Everything under the sun has healing properties. All right, so we've got some white sugar here. Yay! And we've got our turpentine over here. We're going to just suck that up in the syringe. There we go, a little bit less. So I like mine to go right up there to the neck. Right to the neck of the little pipette. And in this one, that happens to be half a teaspoon. So we're going to just squirt this on here. Yum, yum, yum. Yum, 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 yum. A little bit of sugar helps the medicine go down. Yes. This is a particularly courageous way to take my turpentine because my computer keyboard is right here in front of me. All right, there's my turpentine sugar, a wonderful way to start the new year. And we have, of course, Shilajit. Yay, that tarry stuff. All right, there we go. This is our little spatula. You can use really anything. You can use a tine of a fork, but we're using this. This can be a little bit difficult to get out, which is why I use this special spatula. I see a bit sticking up here, so I'm just going to pull it. And this is the little bit that I pulled out. Like that. Yep. And we're going to drop it. Boom, boom. And let it dissolve. And later in the show, I will drink the rest of it. Shilajit is really amazing because it has a much broader spectrum of trace minerals than the other fulvic minerals. And the source is from Russia, as opposed to the other ones in the United States that are from a pit in Utah. Alrighty. Let us see about those predictions. This is just absolutely amazing. Number 1 is called the Retailization of Healthcare. What does that mean? That means healthcare is just like any other retail product. Or if you want to say the word, a commodity. And people who were once patients will become shoppers. And what we're going to see is more people price comparison their medical services. And whether it's your medical services, but I would say one thing is for sure, to get the maximum value out of this development of 2020, people will need to drop their health insurance. Now what happens, or what is happening now, is in many cases the copay that the insured individual is paying is actually more than the cash price of the service. And so many people may actually find that even though they're insured, they're going to be better off just paying cash. And this is a trend that is really going to take off, and it's going to be made even more easy by technology. And I think this is a wonderful thing. Even better, though, is each patient will then be put in a position of focusing on, hey, what do I want? What am I shopping for? And so that gets them to focus on exactly what they expect to come from the doctor's visit. And so then they're not going to, hopefully, fall into the trap of harm and maybe even death. So retailing, making healthcare a commodity. And the other thing this does is this means that people are going to actually look to their friends and family for feedback on their experiences and what happened. And this is going to remove the veil of secrecy that used to surround healthcare, where people couldn't compare quality or experience or whatever. For example, my daughter is 32, and she and her friends, oh my gosh, they talk, you would think they were 80, but they talk about their OB/GYN, what procedures they've had, the outcomes of the procedures, and it's really amazing. And because there's so much more discussion going on, and healthcare is being viewed as simply a retail consumable, people are sharing these experiences in real time, and a lot of harm, I think, is being prevented from that process. The next development for 2020 is telehealth. I love this one. So telehealth means literally that your doctor will not be coming to the office and you won't either. And so this means no more waiting, right? You're going to be at home. If you sit in front of your iPad or iPhone or whatever device you use that has a visual screen, and you and your practitioner or health professional will be communicating that way. And this, for most individuals, it saves a tremendous amount of time and a tremendous amount of money. Not having to pay for parking, not having to arrange transportation. So it's amazing. And also with telehealth, there's a lot less damage that can be done. The doctor can't all of a sudden pull out a needle and jab you with it. Say, okay, here we go. That's what we're doing. I actually saw that happen when I was in medical school. I was like, oh. So telehealth means that a patient will be in one location, the doctor will be in another location, and the physical exam or the medical encounter will happen via technology, via long distance. And this is wonderful because this means that, again, you can focus as a patient on what it is you want as an outcome and not be distracted by the office setting, by all the trappings, by the 2-hour wait, by the forms you fill out. So you can remain actually more in control physically and psychologically. My color quality is fluctuating. If yours is too, just relax, realize that nothing is changing on this end. It's just technology. All right, so telehealth. So telehealth is wonderful. Now, when I was in medical school, that would be 1979 to 83, we were told, oh no, telemedicine, it will never, ever happen. You cannot diagnose anything over the phone. You certainly can't diagnose, you don't have proper lighting in the person's home. The equipment isn't there. You can't possibly make an adequate diagnosis via what we now understand to be Skype or Zoom or whatever video format. And even back then, I realized that's not true. And then when I work with people, I don't practice medicine. When I work with people, they tell me, Dr. Daniels, I have never met you, and you've been more helpful to me than anyone else, where they've, of course, gotten on a plane or gone to an office or whatever. So telehealth is going to be where it's at, and I would really recommend embracing it. It's an awesome trend. Imagine not even having to leave your home. Imagine your appointment is at 10 o'clock, and guess what? It's at 10 o'clock. And guess what? If it's not, oh well, just continue with your day. So telehealth is a major benefit to the patients, less of an imposition on them, and it gives them more control. And I think anything that can give the patient more control is a wonderful thing, because it's going to decrease the harm and kill rate. Next, this one is amazing. This is definitely one of those hold on to your hat ones. Growth at all costs will have a limit. But that's the way Forbes puts it, but to put it more bluntly, is new technological innovations that have no benefit for the patient, they'll be putting the brakes on those. Because what's happening is investors are now at the table. And so many of these technologies require an upfront investment of anywhere from $50 million to a few $100 million. It's let's just say it's expensive. Mm-hmm. And so what's happening is these investors are coming at the whole medical device, medical drug thing from the point of, okay, what is the benefit this has in terms of patient outcome? And if it has no benefit, they are actually not funding these. And investors have actually been pulling out of certain areas of healthcare, because when they looked at the data, the research data, the benefit to the patient just wasn't there. And so they didn't invest. Now, those investors are, of course, naive. If that's the way medical care went, most of the drugs would never have made it to the market. And so, of course, does the patient get any benefit from it is actually not a metric in terms of profit. The real metric is the presentation, the positioning, and the marketing. But what's going on now is a lot of this investing is philanthropic. What does that mean? That means that the actual investor himself is a patient, was a patient, and is looking for something effective that either he can benefit from, or if he's got one foot in the grave, the people coming after him can benefit from. So the growth of the philanthropic investing in healthcare is wonderful, because what's happening is the philanthropists who are putting their own money on the line, these .com multimillionaires and billionaires are saying, whoa, we're looking for a cure. This thing is not effective. We're not investing in it. So one example of this is cancer immunotherapy. Yeah, cancer immunotherapy. The investors are saying, hey, this is not effective enough for investing. We just don't see where the benefit is. Yeah. And I have people contacting me, patients, saying, hey, do you know about cancer immunotherapy? I can tell you this, every attempt at immunotherapy by the medical establishment in the past 40 years has been absolutely devastating for the recipients. And that's because the best therapy for the immune system is a glass of water and a good bowel movement. That's pretty much, can't beat that. If you want to go next level, maybe a piece of liver. But that's immunotherapy. So to say that you can find immunotherapy in a needle, an IV bottle, a pill, you can already just, again, in my mind, say, well, stop right there. You've already gone like so far in the wrong direction. But this is amazing. So the trend in 2020 will be investors, more private investors, and investors insisting on results, because many of the investors are trending is because there are so many people who've made their fortune with the aid of the internet. They are now saying, hey, wait, we want something that works. So we'll see how that pans out. But the good news is ineffective therapies out the gate will have a greater chance of losing funding, and that's a very nice thing. Next, I didn't know how they were going to do it, but I knew they were going to do it. I just didn't know how. So the Medicare promise is broken. Like, forget it. So to give you basics on this, if you live in the United States, you pay into Social Security system, which is basically an income check when you're over 65 or 67, depending on the rules, and that you also have healthcare coverage. And you have 80% healthcare coverage for hospital, and then no coverage for the doctor visit unless you buy an extra plan for doctor coverage. That would be B. So what many people have done in the past, this is a long time ago, like when I first started medicine in 1984, 85, people would say, all right, I have this plan, I paid in all my life, I'm just going to take that and not pay any more in insurance costs, and if I owe something more, I'll pay it. If I cannot afford it, then forget it. And that was it. They just said whatever Medicare covers, that's fine, and as long as I don't have any out of pocket, I'm good to go. Well, what Medicare has done is they said, okay, here's the deal. We're going to bundle the doctor and hospital together. We're going to maybe add some drug coverage to it. Have a private insurance company in the private sector provide the service. We, Medicare, will pay them a certain amount per month, and then they can bill the Medicare recipient for the rest. And so now a no-pay plan has morphed into an insurance plan with premiums as high as $300 a month. And so if you're a retired person on a Medicare pension of, say, $1,000 or $1,500 a month, and $300 or more of that is being taken out for health insurance, then you're pretty much plunged into poverty. I mean, things are not looking really good. And so the prediction for 2020 is that Medicare will push more and more people into that plan. And even back in 1985, it was getting difficult for people to say, hey, I don't want Part B. I don't want to pay any out of pocket health insurance premiums. Now, this is before you even receive any health care. So my mother, for example, she's 90. She pays $250 a month for this Medicare Advantage plan. We won't say what it covers, what it doesn't cover. Don't even need to go into that. But point is, $7,000 per year out of pocket expenditure limit. And year before last, Mom reached that limit. She spent $250 every single month. That's $3,000 a year. Then on top of that, she spent $7,000 out of pocket. $10,000 in 1 year. And if all she was living on was her Medicare income, that would have nearly, that was taking up all of her Medicare income. Absolutely all of it. And then some, actually. So, Medicare promise is essentially broken when they're offering you a plan that would bankrupt the average Medicare Social Security recipient. Now, what happens though, is the next step, of course, is the old folks put their house up as collateral to pay the insurance and pay the health bills. And what you have is a loss of any intergenerational wealth, which is supposedly just what Medicare is supposed to prevent. All right, Shilajit is ready. We're going to drink it. All right, down the hatch. So, prediction for next year is Medicare promise is broken. So Medicare and the Medicare Advantage system are managed by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. And they're going to make Medicare Advantage a better deal for new Medicare beneficiaries. In other words, chasing them away from the standard no pay option. And then the Center for Medicare Services will continue raising rates for Medicare. Yep. So you guys basically donated to the Medicare system for nothing. The very folks who are in charge of the system, the very folks you paid your Medicare insurance premiums to, are the ones who are in charge of raising your premiums to make you pay even more. See if I have some water here. No, we don't have water. Oh well, we're just gonna get through this. So Medicare is shifting Medicare from a government program that pays the medical bill of people who paid into it to a system of transferring the money people paid to private insurers who then charge Medicare people boatloads of money. So the Medicare system has become nothing more than a bait and switch to deliver people right back into the bankrupting medical financial situation they tried to escape. What's the answer? The answer is to just not even sign up for Medicare, number one. Or number two, if you do sign up, just sign up for Part A, and that's it. Nothing else. Well, what if I get sick? Just stay home. Skip the whole thing. It's not like it's going to help you. So the big thing people need to realize is how dangerous healthcare really is. And once you get how dangerous it is, then you would avoid it the same way you would avoid AIDS or a violent person with a gun, because the healthcare system is certainly more dangerous and kills a lot more people than violent, deranged maniacs with guns. All right. Here's my favorite, AI. Those of you who don't know AI, it's artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence means that you have a machine with algorithms, and the machine is trained that if you put in this information, then you get out that answer. Put in this information, you get the other answer. So the machine artificially is intelligent and artificially reasons like a person in certain situations. So it's kind of a machine that if this, then it does that. And so, again, back to medical school, even in 1979 to 83, there was a concern. Well, geez, all of these manufacturing people, their jobs are being taken away by robots. And so we medical students were putting in a tremendous amount of time and money to develop a skill where we were essentially working by the hour or piecework like anyone on a assembly line, like a manufacturing machine worker. And so many of us were asking, well, what about, are we going to get replaced? I shouldn't say many of us are asking. I asked. My classmates said, of course, we'll never be replaced by a machine. So as I went through medical school, by the time I graduated, I said an idiot could do this job. A monkey could do this job. It's, hi, you have blah, blah, blah. We don't know the cause. There is no cure. Take this medicine for life and see me every 3 months for the rest of your life. That's it. That's the spiel, no matter what the diagnosis was. That's basically what it came down to. So we're going to see AI, machines being able to replicate this complex reasoning process I've just outlined for you. And as I said, following the standard of care can be done by any monkey. It does not require intelligence because the standard of care has nothing to do with the patient's condition. And this makes it very simple. For example, I was just talking to somebody the other day who had a condition of inflammation in their lymph nodes in their lower abdomen. Okay, so the key is, whatever the problem is, it's down there. They gave him medicine for up here. Right. And they said, let's do x-ray tests, put a tube up here, which only goes like not very far down. So any monkey could have done that. A person comes into you with a complaint about their thumb. You say, fine, let's treat your toes. That's easy. Any machine can do that. Now, if the machine's got to stick to the topic about the thumb, well, there we go. Maybe there's some reasoning involved there. But what the doctor is trying to do is, when you come in, no matter what your complaint, is to divert you to the most profitable avenue that's kind of close to your complaint. So at least this guy got some medicine for his abdomen, even though it had nothing to do with his area of complaint. So look for more artificial intelligence, which means what? Yep, doctors, bye-bye. And AI is excellent because of the combination of AI and telehealth, right? So the machine never shows up. The machine basically is online. And if you look online, you'll see there are a lot of these online services now that will write you prescriptions, that will help you diagnose what might be going on with you. And what makes all of this possible is telehealth. The patient and the diagnosing mechanism do not need to be in the same place. So one step is to make it a person. That would be a doctor on the other end of the phone, or the other end of the visual conference. And then that's just an intermediate step. The next step is move the doctor, the middleman, out of the equation totally. And it's the patient and AI, and they got to just work this out. Now, the nice thing about that, though, is if you are a patient and you know what it is that you need, maybe you need a work note, maybe you need a authorization or okay to go to have a certain occupation, or maybe you're trying to get disability or whatever. All you need to do is understand AI and give him the answers he needs to come to the conclusion that you want. And so that'll be a fun thing, seeing how AI grows. For doctors, it's going to be an issue because many of them will be replaced, especially your family practice, pediatrics, and internal medicine doctors. AI can handle all of that. Probably even you can replace the cardiologists and gastroenterologists. The only problem with is the revenue from the procedures, or more precisely, the revenue to the companies who sell or rent these endoscopes and fancy cardiac machines to the doctors. So the industry will work itself out with those things. But you don't need any of those tests to properly treat any of those conditions. So as AI emerges, what we're also going to see is a settling out of the profit picture. And maybe the people who made the cardiac catheters will be the ones making AI machines instead. And that way they'll preserve their profit, and AI will continue. Yeah, so artificial intelligence is great. This is very interesting. Primary care physicians will break free from hospitals. Yay! Now, there's two ways primary care doctors can be captive to the hospital. One, they can be renting office space from the hospital. Two, the hospital can actually own their medical practice. And the danger when the hospital owns a medical practice is the hospital demands a certain rate of hospitalization, whether the patients need it or not. And what hospitals are finding is that running medical practices is way complicated. It's a nightmare. And they really don't want to do it. And this is something that's been going back and forth since really since I was in business school at Wharton. That was the big thing. And many short-sighted hospitals said, oh, we'll just buy up all the medical practices. And the economics of that was absolutely awful. But there are cycles of this. And so in the 90s, the hospitals bought up a lot of medical practices. Then in the 2000s, they divested themselves of those practices, and they bought up some more and then divested. So it's an ongoing cycle. But what doctors and hospitals don't realize is there's two pieces in terms of doctors in this cycle. You have the doctor who has a lot of debt, and that doctor needs the hospital because he totally lacks capital. And that doctor is always better off with the hospital because of his debt. Then, and his lack of capital, which means he can't start his own business. So then there's the other doctor who's low in debt or no debt. That doctor always does better not associated with any hospital because he does have the capital. He can start up on his own, and he can basically keep his own profits. And so what's going to happen is not so much the primary care physicians who are going to break free from the hospitals, is many of them are going to be fired. They're just going to be fired because the hospitals can't afford them anymore. And as they are fired, the ones that are going to make it are the ones with low debt. The ones that are going to sink, go bankrupt, start driving taxi cabs, are the ones that have high debt. So what we're going to see is the primary care physicians and hospitals are going to separate and go their separate ways because the hospitals can't carry the economic burden of these medical practices. For patients, this is an excellent trend because it's going to cut the incentive for doctors to hospitalize people who don't need it. The doctors are not going to have heavy financial pressure to do that. Next, data privacy taken seriously. The answer, of course, is by who? Well, the first thing is, as I mentioned to you before, since records are now electronic, there is zero privacy. Your records are electronic, and they are not in the possession of your doctor. And so what has been happening is the information in records has been sold to drug companies and really anyone else who wants them. And apparently many patients have become aware of this. And so what's happening now is the privacy is becoming an issue. And it's becoming understood that the data belongs to the patients, not the hospital. So what's happening is the hospitals have viewed their medical records as gold waiting to be mined. And I can definitely tell you this. This is absolutely the truth. And even me as a doctor, I saw those records as just gold. If we could just sort out that information, we could figure out what really works, what doesn't work, and all these mysteries would be solved, right? We don't need any more scientific studies. We have all this data in these charts of what is being done and how people who had this therapy fared. It's all electronic. It's all in the charts. You can just look at it. You don't need any more studies. You can just look at the data that's there and see what works and what doesn't work. That's what I thought. Ha! Silly me. What the hospitals thought was that it was gold waiting to be mined and selling the data to other parties. And so a slew of startups like Google have come to the healthcare systems offering to make the data anonymous, organize it, and sell the data to drug companies. And so the hospital said, yeah, let's do it. But the problem is it's very hard to make data anonymous. And there was no patient consent, and the patients realized what was going on, and there's a backlash brewing. So data privacy is going to be taken a little more seriously. Patient data has been sold, to my knowledge, on a massive scale, as early as 1993. And I refused to sign consent forms to allow the data of my patients to be sold. This is not the chart issue. This is the issue of, as a doctor, I would have to sign consent to permit all of my prescriptions at the pharmacy to be analyzed and have that data sold. And so I refused to sign that. And then the people who wanted that done did a workaround and got the legislature, the lawmakers of New York State, to pass a law saying all that data can be sold. No consent from doctor or patients is needed. And so that data has been getting sold, just shamelessly, at least since that point. But now that electronic records exist, there's even a deeper level of data mining that can be done in terms of people who have pets, don't have pets, live here, live there, consume this, consume that, have this disease, buy that drug. And before you know it, you can really ratchet down. And let's say a person has hypertension. Wow. If you know that person has hypertension and you know their address, all the special foods you can sell them, all the home monitoring machines you can sell them, and just goes on and on and on. So now what's happening is these databases are now being, let's say, we won't say secured, but the ability to sell that information, I expect, in 2020 will be limited or more restricted. So that's going to be great. And of course, the worst is when a lady gets pregnant and registers for prenatal care, she just gets inundated with marketing, and so all of that is pretty much going to be stopped. All right. On a more natural bent, vegans will be dying even younger. Yep, even younger. So someone passed on to me this video, and I was horrified. I couldn't believe it. So they've identified various nutrients that might be hard to get in a vegan diet. In other words, they're found basically in meats. And rather than saying to the vegans, well, maybe a piece of meat once a week or once a month might work out okay, they're telling them to eat artificial, processed, fake, fortified foods. We all know how processed foods work out. Oh, not good. So, we can expect that the health of vegans will noticeably, radically take a decline. Now, when I first became vegetarian in 1986, and there were no processed vegan foods available. If you want tofu, you had to go make your own. That pretty much was the story. And also, I lived in the wilderness of the United States. And so our health food store, first of all, I had to drive at least an hour to get there. And all they had was some vegetables that were pretty weak and shriveled up. And beans and rice. That's pretty much it. Yeah, that was the whole store. Yeah, you're right. It was like a 10-foot by 10-foot room. Wasn't much to it. So that is the reality of what the health food store used to be. Now you walk into a health food store, oh my God, it goes on for aisles and aisles and aisles, and all the packages and bright colors and the outrageous claims and how it makes you feel totally like wonderful and accepted if you buy this product, which is simple but vibrant or something. So as a result of all this marketing and packaging and vegans being basically human and the present experts in the vegan community pushing and promoting these processed foods, we can expect that vegans will do very poorly. And I personally noticed this myself, that when vegans call me and their health is bad, and they will tell me, I eat healthy. And I say, okay, fine. What do you eat? Well, soy milk. Ouch. Not that soy is good or bad, because the same problem exists with rice milk, oat milk, whatever kind of fake milk you want to talk about, is the stuff has been processed, it's been refined, it's been separated, it's been irradiated, and they're thinking it's healthy. It just isn't. And then of course it's fortified with something. Well, if you pick up a package and it says fortified, put it right back on the shelf. Fortified means the nutritional value of this package is so low that it would actually destroy your health unless we added a little bit of nutrition to it. That's what fortified means. So, since vegans are being educated to eat this stuff, we expect that their health will deteriorate terribly. And the other thing too is that many vegetarians don't even eat vegetables. They've literally switched from vegetables that would be like a carrot or a potato to the synthetic foods. And dinner for them is like it is for anyone else on the basic American plan. Open a package, eat it, or open a package, put it in a box, heat it up, and eat it. And so it's going to be a pretty bad scene. Next year, we're going to see more alternative healers becoming licensed. I know what you're thinking. Yay! It's a good thing. Maybe not. But a license means that they work for the government, not you. And they are obligated to steer you into the hospital system as soon, as quick, and as often as possible. And they are encouraged, and in many cases required, to not do anything or give you any information that would make you not need the hospital system or the drug system. In other words, they're just something that would be in addition to. And so more alternative healers will become licensed, is my prediction. Next, more people will become aware that vaccines do not work and only create harm. A lot of people will say, oh, I think the benefits outweigh the harm. There are no benefits. So there's only harm. But this will cause a migration to states that do not mandate vaccines. And so literally you will see, similar to the proliferation of states that have no state income tax and states that legalize marijuana, this will pressure more states to drop their vaccine mandate. Yes. And I think really this is the only way that anything will change, is people just simply have to vote with their feet. The ballot box is, let's just say it's broken. So those are the 10 predictions for 2020. And we'll see how they go. Maybe we'll check back at the end of the year and see which ones went which way. But the good news is that there's hope, and you can just bypass the whole system. Definitely treat yourself to no health insurance, save up the money, take a great vacation, do something fun and relaxing. But don't fall into the trap the vegans have fallen into of eating processed so-called health food. And the thing to understand is that there's no such thing as healthy processed food. Processed is processed. Buy it like it came off the ground and cook it at home. That's pretty much what the health plan is. And as far as alternative healers being licensed, a license is a license is a license. And so you need to avoid getting your health from licensed individuals. And as far as vaccines go, like anything else, you have to vote with your feet. That is that. And we have questions. Yay! These are our Sunday podcast questions. As always, we always have more questions than we can answer. Yep. And so other ways of getting your question answered are to make an appointment at vitalitycapsules.com/appointment, or you can join our membership group, which trains you to be the healer in your home, and that is at vitalitycapsules.com/heal-at-home. Yeah. Okay, so we have a question from, hi, I injured my meniscus and my knee has been swollen for the last 5 months. Are there any alternatives to having knee surgery? Absolutely. Well, first of all, you need to know knee surgery is totally not effective. Look it up. But you want to repair your meniscus and simply put a brace on. There are many knee braces that immobilizes your knee in a slightly bent position, and that will allow the meniscus to heal. The other thing to do is drink plenty of water, and that allows your body to clean out that meniscus. And then to rebuild the meniscus, you want to eat probably pig ears would be the best because they have the maximum amount of cartilage in them. Okay. Next one. Hi, Dr. Daniels. Is there any cure for vancomycin-resistant enterococcus? I've never been diagnosed, so I'm guessing that's what it is. No, you can't guess. Either you have it or you don't. So if you don't know that it's vancomycin-resistant enterococcus, it probably isn't. So we'll just drop that label. So from time to time, I get cloudy, foamy urine and some discomfort. Okay, so from time to time, what that really comes down to is from time to time, you're getting dehydrated. So you need to watch your hydration and do not get dehydrated. The number one cause of so-called urinary tract infections is not enough hydration. That's it. Thank you so much for bringing education and inspiration. I started the turpentine after 5 doses. I feel much better, and candida seems to be remitting. Wonderful. Okay, so my blood pressure will spike as much as up to 160 over 90 after a short walk. Then I'll sit for a few minutes, relax, breathe deeply, and it will go back to 103 over 68. Okay, so here's the deal. You have a body, let's call it 2 arms, 2 legs, a torso, and a head. All right. Most of your life, I can tell because you said you sit for a few minutes, most of your life, the body is only circulating blood to your torso and your head. That's it. And it only requires a blood pressure of 103 over 68 to get that done. But when you decide to walk, now your heart has to circulate blood to the legs and arms, which it wasn't doing before. And it takes a lot more pressure. So the cure for this is to increase your water intake. Maybe drink about a pint of water before you go for a walk, another liter while you're walking, and walk more often. So, in this short walk, make your walk half the length of what it took to get this blood pressure spike. And then what you're going to do is you're going to adjust your blood volume, and your heart is going to be able to adjust itself so it can circulate blood through your whole body without raising your blood pressure. So when I was sedentary for many years behind this chair working like this, I would have to drink half a gallon of water just to be able to walk for an hour. And that was because I was so sedentary that my body was not accustomed to circulating blood everywhere, which is what was required when I walked. And so as I started walking more and more often and drinking more and more water, it now is at the point where I can just, for a short walk, like a half-hour walk, I can just drink a pint before I get going and I'm good. I don't have to drink anymore because I stay hydrated throughout the day and I spend most of my day on my feet active. Do the Vitality capsules help detox pathogens and heavy metals? Yes, that comes out in your poop. Is body odor a sign of toxicity? Well, it's only a sign of detoxing. Yes, it is a sign of toxicity, but it's a good sign that at least your body is dumping these toxic things. So that's very good. I heard that having 2 copies of the MUF4 gene mutation compromises detoxification and methylation. You've heard that. Okay, we got that. You've heard that. Any thoughts on supplements that may help? So we skip from is it true to any supplements that might help. First of all, it's not true. 65% of Americans have the MUF4 gene mutation. So how can you even call it a mutation if 65% of people have it? Why don't we call it normal? So what really is going to solve this problem is for you to take a very serious look at the food you're eating and remove the toxins and parasites from your food. Yes, even fermented foods. But the MUF4 gene mutation is of absolutely no significance. What is of significance is what is the quality of the food that you're eating. Are you buying fresh produce, dried grains and beans, cooking it at home and eating that way? Or are you buying stuff in bottle, cans, and packages that have additives in them and eating those things? So if you're eating the stuff that has additives in it, then it's going to overload your detoxification pathway and your methylation pathway, whether you have the gene or not, the MUF4 gene or not. What causes hand cramping when opening a tight lid on a jar? Let's, for the sake of discussion, clarify this, that there is no hand cramping when the person is not opening the jar lid. Let's just say that the hand is perfectly fine. So when you open a tight lid in a jar, what's happening is you're trying to use your muscles. And in order for the muscles to contract and do what you want them to do, there needs to be sodium, potassium, and calcium. Those are all positive ions. The simplest thing to do is just to add some salt to your life. And a lot of times that'll balance it out. It feels as if the nerves are overfiring. Yeah. So that's one. That if it's the muscles, that the salt will take care of that. If it's the nerves, probably your best bet would be to drink more water and eat some liver. And then what the liver does, it provides the cholesterol to help the nerves do their job better. Sometimes my hands will cramp up for no reason. Yeah, do the salt and the liver. My mother is 78 years old. She takes no medication, and her ankles are always swollen. Yeah. So they're called old lady ankles. And these ankles are swollen, and you can't even really see the ankle bones. But the person is really otherwise healthy. And basically, that's caused, just to put it bluntly, by inactivity. So the best way to get rid of mom's swollen ankles would be, when she's doing nothing, see if she can elevate her feet some more. But get her out doing something. So get her to drink a little more water and just go on little walks. Like maybe you could walk out the front door of the house and back in. And then see how she feels about that. Then maybe go down the block, one house or two, turn around and walk back. So try and get her to walk more. That's one thing. The next thing is, this is a lymphatic problem. So check mom's diet and see if you can get rid of any bread or sugar. And you want to add some type of connective tissue. Maybe I would go for pig's feet, honestly. And you can boil up the pig's feet and make a stew or something out of it and feed that to her maybe twice a week. I mean, she is 78. And then take her on short walks. And once you get her where she can actually go all the way around the block, or maybe halfway around the block, then see if she can do some exercises. And the exercise will be for her to hold on to something so she doesn't fall and do heel lifts. So get up on her toes and down, up on her toes and down. What this does is it squeezes her calf muscles, and they act like a pump pulling the fluid out of her ankles. Yeah, do the calf raise exercises, and that will get rid of the swelling in her ankles. And Addie says, after soaking itching feet in castor oil, should the oil be thrown out? No. You can reuse the oil as long as the oil helps relieve your symptoms. So let's just say you have itchy feet, you're soaking in past castor oil, and the feet are cured, done, don't need anything more. At that point, you can throw it away. I would not try to be overly economical and use it, say, on your skin. No, don't do that. But you can soak your feet in it again and again and again as long as it gives you relief. When it stops giving you relief, that means the oil is filled with so many toxins that, you should throw it out, throw it away. Daniel says, can brown sugar be used with turpentine? It can be, but white sugar is the best. Okay, let's see here. I think that is it. Well, that is it for the first podcast of the year. I'd like to remind people to please go to vitalitycapsules.com and get your free report, The Candida Cleaner, which tells you all about the wonders of turpentine. And also check out vitalitycapsules.com/heal at home for a special program I've developed to help you become the healer in your home. So you can save a lot of time, a lot of expense, a lot of torture, and even save your life. Okay, goodbye, and as always, think happens.